welcome. This is my first Reddit reading video, I guess, with like Minecraft in the background. I've never done this before, so bear with me if there's like awkward moments or anything like that. But I wanted to thank you for watching first of all. And if you're somebody I know who's watching, thank you as well. And if you're new here, I guess give me some tips on how to improve things because I don't really know what I'm doing. But other than that, let's get into the first story, I guess. Am I the asshole for going back to my parents' house because I have parents too? I, 27 female, have been married to my husband, 30 male, for 2 years, after dating for a year. As high school teachers, we enjoy a comfortable life. Up until recently, my relationship with my in-laws was smooth. Visits were always pleasant, and they kept their distance. They all seemed to change about 4 months ago when my mother-in-law was diagnosed with hypertension. She took the news badly, acting as if it were a life or death situation. Suddenly, she craved constant attention, especially from my husband, her youngest son. Initially, my husband began visiting her more often, sometimes with me. That lasted about 3 weeks. Then she started going to our house. At first, it was just for a day or two, which I didn't mind. Although about a month ago, she moved in, followed by my father-in-law. In our culture, it's expected that a wife cares for her in-laws' cooking, cleaning, managing medication, etc. I can handle this occasionally during visits, although now a full month of them living with us has left me exhausted and frustrated. What stings me even more is the fact that my husband refuses to help out. Whenever I bring it up, he says things like, in quotes, "They are my parents," or "My mom is sick," end quotes, leaving everything on my shoulders. 3 days ago, I hit my limit. I came home early, packed my bags, and went back to my parents' house. My reason was simple. I have parents too. When my husband called, I told him I needed a break and that I wanted to spend time with my dad, who had a minor heart attack a couple years ago, and by his logic, my dad is sick too. He called me petty and stated that I was handling marital issues poorly. He stated I shouldn't have taken our issues to my parents. In his defense, I didn't sit him down for a serious talk before I left. I'd only asked multiple times when his parents would leave, but he never gave me a clear answer. Now he wants me to come back and states I should stop humiliating him. I think I should have spoke with him before I essentially ran away. Am I the asshole? In my mind, you aren't really the asshole. Yeah, you made a couple mistakes and the situation could have been handled better. He should have respected you and should have seen the signs that you were clearly exhausted and frustrated. And it seems to me like all these decisions for his parents to move in was all just quick, without actually being thought through. Although, that should have probably been communicated properly, but I'm just a dude who plays Minecraft, so it's a lot easier for me to say that, right? Am I the asshole for breaking up with my long-term girlfriend because she decided that she doesn't want to have children? I, 26 male, and my now ex-girlfriend, 27 female, have been dating for 4 years and have been living together for 2. Pretty early into our relationship, we realized we were interested in something serious and long-term. We had discussions to see if our values and goals aligned. We're both super liberal, we both wanted to stay in our city seemingly forever, etc. During this conversation, the topic of children came up and we both said we wanted children in the future. Well, a little while back she stated she decided she no longer wanted to have children because she was not comfortable bringing children into this world. We had a long, calm, and deep conversation about it, and she stated she thought long and hard about coming to this conclusion and thus was not interested in changing her mind. Naturally, I brought up the idea of adopting children as a possibility, seeing as I'm interested in raising children and don't care if they are biologically mine or not, although she shut this idea down and made it clear she does not want to raise children anymore. I told her that I accept and respect her decision, although, while part of me will always love her and what we had, I had to break up with her as our life goals no longer aligned. I said I respect her too much to continue our relationship under false pretenses, and I will never be happy with a child-free lifestyle, where I continue our relationship on the fact that I would be hoping she changes her mind or that I would grow to be resentful. I also stated that we both deserve better than that and that we deserve partners that value every aspect of ourselves. Naturally, she was very upset. She accused me of never loving her if I was willing to break up with her so quickly. She proceeded to call my decisiveness callous, etc., which I didn't get mad over because I figured she was overreacting, seeing as one would naturally react for big life changes such as this one. However, some of our mutual friends have chimed in. I wouldn't say the majority, just some of them are on her side. They say if I truly loved her, I would have stuck by her side and reworked my life goals around her. Somebody who I hold in very high regard told me they feel like I, in quotes, threw out my ex-girlfriend out of my life like garbage, end quotes, and that I should have at least tried to grow comfortable with the idea of never being a father. Of course I'm biased, as I'm the only one being talked about really, although I feel like these are unnecessarily harsh and one-sided depictions of me. I feel like I handled the situation well. Am I the asshole? You know, this one's quite a tough one because I don't really have a say, because I don't know what this is like at all, but I will say maybe the situation could have been handled a lot better, you know. I do have respect for him respecting his goals, but he definitely could have done it in a different manner. I'm not sure though. That's just what I believe, really. Am I the asshole for excluding my parents and their family at a pretty big moment in my life? My parents divorced when I, 19 female, was 1. They broke up when my mom was 7 months pregnant with me after my dad got another woman pregnant and my mom wasn't sure if my dad was my biological dad or not. She was also cheating on him, although my dad is my dad, and they ended up marrying the people they cheated on each other with after they finalized everything with their divorce. So my whole life has been 2 separate families, 2 biological parents, and 2 different step-parents who all never got along. I have a couple of medical conditions, so important medical appointments were included in the court's ruling in their divorce, although things have been so bad that in the process of discussing my important medical appointments and custody exchanges, both my parents were ordered to leave their spouses when attending these meetings if I was present. The judge also sent them to classes to learn how to speak to each other without animosity. For the first 8 years, my parents followed the rule of not including their spouses at these hearings, although eventually, for some reason, they both said fuck it and they brought their spouses anyway. So I went from 2 parents who couldn't even stand each other to 4 adults who couldn't even be in the same room as one another. My mom said my stepmom was disruptive and shouldn't be there, and of course my dad said the same thing about my stepdad. From the sounds of it, they openly admitted to cursing and screaming at each other at my appointments, so much to the point where they got kicked from hospitals and doctors' clinics. The family dynamic is me having half-siblings and some step-siblings. One of my half-siblings is a few months younger than me, as my dad got my stepmom pregnant at the same time as my mom. I also have a step-sibling who is 6 months older than me too, as my stepdad was with someone, as him and my mom were having their affair. My stepmom also had a child before she met my dad, but I barely know who that is at all. My parents have always argued over whose family should be more important to me. They also argued on which group of siblings I should be close to based on my need to have a close relationship with them, and their need to have a close relationship with me. Every interaction with any of my siblings was argued over, and I would be under constant pressure from both sides to interact with their kids more and love their kids more. There was one time I had a school event in my class and you'd get the chance to take a photo with your sibling or siblings. My best friend was an only child, and considering the circumstances with my family as well as me not wanting her to miss out, I took a picture with her instead. The relationship with all my siblings have been negative because of my parents and step-parents, although I blame my parents more than my step-parents, seeing as both my parents could have decided better for my needs and my sake. Nothing ever got better between them, that just before my 18th birthday I decided to move in with my grandmother to finish high school. I don't really see or speak to my parents anymore at all, so when something big came up I didn't bother to tell them, although they found out after and got upset with me. It was a pretty big opportunity in my life where I got the chance to go pro in something I have been training in for basically my whole life. My parents and families always wanted to be there when the moment came, although I didn't want them to be there, considering how they act. I don't regret my decision, as it was the first time I didn't dread finishing a competition. My parents, of course, are really hurt over it, yet I'm ignoring them. They text and DM me every day wanting to talk about how badly they think I fucked up, although I think I made the right decision at their expense of being hurt. But it isn't enough to make me regret it. Does that make me an asshole? You know, in my mind, not really, but I'm also looking at this from a similar perspective, I guess. I mean, not entirely at all, just somewhat. You know, maybe you could have tried to reconnect with your parents like better, I guess. But you know, I don't think you made the poor decision here, and you're not the asshole, because I probably would have ended up doing the same thing, just because, you know, at what point is it not worth it anymore? You know, even though this was a short video, I guess consider it like a pilot thing, I guess. You know, if you have any suggestions, you know, let me know in the comments, and I'll gladly take any I can get. I'm new to this whole thing, so like, sorry if I was like nervous or anything, but if you've watched this far, thank you so much. I'll see you next time.